Just hold on a second.
Yeah,
We're going to resolve all of them.
Yeah, yep.
Give us the rundown, as it were.
I will let you know.
Attack for 1.
Suspense.
Yeah, 1 card?
Hello, and welcome to round 4 of Grand Prix Denver. I'm Ben Swartz, joined here in the booth by Marshall Sutcliffe. Hi, Marshall.
Hi. Hey, it's us again.
And we're going to watch quite the match for you guys. Eric
There
Froelich on the
we
left-hand
go.
side of your screen, facing off against Cedric Phillips on the right-hand side of your screen.
Easily do it.
Yep, Cedric's a well-known player from the Seattle area now. He originally was from Ohio area, I believe. And yeah, you might know him from his stream. He likes to stream quite a bit. And Eric Froelich has been a staple on the pro tournament scene for a while now as one of really the top players around.
Eric seems to have mulliganed to 6 this game. And let's see if he keeps the 6-card hand or goes down to 5.
All right, I'm curious to see what Cedric's on here. I'm assuming that Eric's going to be on one version of this bug deck. A lot of the Channel Fireball guys are playing it this weekend.
Yeah?
Yeah, sorry.
I see rituals and lion's eye diamonds in
Oh,
Cedric's
jeez.
hand.
I mean, I got to give props to Eric here. He leads off with a black bordered Underground Sea, which is absolutely gorgeous. And we see his awesome hand as well. He's got a Dark Confidant, a Brainstorm, a Jace the Mind Sculptor, another black bordered dual land with a Bayou, and then a Polluted Delta, which looks like it's also foil. So he's just brought the goods here this weekend. And so, go ahead.
Those dual lands are in English. They're not foreign black border. They're from Beta.
So I'm sorry, that is so awesome. I love stuff like that. Now, so Cedric has led with the Gitaxian Probe. I can't quite get a great look at the rest of his hand, but what do we expect to see here?
He's got a land grant, Desperate Ritual, and a couple other cards I can't see. So I believe that puts him on Charbelcher, the Charbelcher deck, if he's going to cast land grant, which he does, and reveals his hand of Chromox, 2 Burning Wishes,
oh, man.
2
Goblin
Charbelchers,
Charbelchers.
a Lion's Eye Diamond, and a Desperate Ritual.
All right, so Ben, can you tell us, give us a quick overview on what the Charbelcher deck is about?
Yeah, so the Charbelcher deck has only 2 lands in it, and its goal is to try to cast and activate Goblin Charbelcher as quickly as possible. Goblin Charbelcher says, tap to activate it, reveal cards off the top of your library until you reveal a land card, and deal damage equal to the number of cards you revealed to whatever target you chose.
Right.
But the idea is, since you only have 2 lands in your deck, there's a high probability you're going to reveal a ton of cards, especially if you get rid of one of those lands via land grant, and kill your opponent sometimes even as quickly as the first turn.
Yeah, there's also another clause on Charbelcher that if the land you reveal happens to be a mountain, then you deal double that much damage as well, just to give you an extra insurance plan. We see a Taiga for Cedric Phillips, and that is also a mountain, so if he would have Charbelched into that, then it would have worked as well. So does Cedric have the tools to go off in time here? Eric's deck is not going to kill him in a particularly quick fashion.
I mean, that's one of the things we were talking about, is that these bug decks have moved away from cards like Force of Will. And Force of Will was a staple in the format to fight against these combo decks like Charbelcher. If Charbelcher tried to go off on turn 1, cast Goblin Charbelcher, activate it, most of the blue decks would have Force of Will to stop that.
I remember when I was first learning Legacy sometime last year, or maybe the year before that, that's what I was told about Goblin Charbelcher. They're like, look, if they don't have anything, then the deck can just win even on turn 1, potentially, although less likely. But they basically just said, but it basically loses to Force of Will.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to see if Ifro has Force of Wills in the deck. Like we mentioned in our little pregame there, a lot of these bug decks have been eschewing main deck Force of Wills and putting them in the sideboard for matchups like this.
So it looks like Eric has a white splash in his deck, because I see a Swords to Plowshares in his hand, but he's going to go ahead and cast Him to Torok on Cedric Phillips. He discards 2 cards at random from his hand.
All right, let's see what he discards. 2 Goblin Charbelchers wouldn't be bad.
It'd actually be really good for Cedric if he discarded 2 Goblin Charbelchers, because he has the Burning Wishes in his hand, so he can Burning Wish for Empty the Warrens, the Storm card.
So he can just audible to a different plan.
Yeah. It's a way of hedging your bets as the Charbelcher deck, because if you play against counterspells, there's often many turn 1s where you can play a bunch of cards, they counterspell, an important one, thinking that you're going to cast Goblin Charbelcher, and then you just cast Empty.
All right, let's see what he hit. He reveals them both. It's a Lion's Eye Diamond and the Wish. So the Lion's Eye Diamond's a key part of the combo, right?
Yeah, Cedric Phillips was only 1 mana away going into his next turn from being able to cast and activate Goblin Charbelcher on the same turn.
Now he's like 4.
Now he's 3, right. He might actually be 4 because he was hoping to imprint that second Burning Wish on his Chrome Mox.
Right. All right. So Eric Froelich is using his hand disruption and destruction spells here to try to keep Cedric off of critical mass on for his Charbelcher here, and sure enough, the Chrome Mox comes down.
Imprints that second Burning Wish from his hand. And I think Cedric's considering casting that Desperate Ritual, but he's going to hold off and instead cast Rite of Flame. So that would be the extra mana that he could have.
That's right. Rite of Flame, Ritual,
Charbelcher.
Charbelcher. So that costs 4 mana, and now it's on the table, but he does still need an extra mana from someplace so that he can activate it. Costs 3 mana and tap it to activate it, and he's fine. All right, it's going to be a Dark Confidant for Ifro.
Nothing
and a
from
land,
Ifro.
And that's not that happy.
Yeah, now we have to see. Ifro has to sweat Cedric drawing another mana source, and there's plenty of mana sources in Cedric's deck, even though it only has 2 lands.
Yep.
I believe it only has 2 lands. Maybe it only has 1 land. Wow. It looks like Taiga's the only land in his deck. He's got plenty of other mana sources. He's got plenty of ritual-type spells, Seething Song, Pyretic Ritual, Desperate
Four
Ritual.
Lotus Petals, I see.
Yep.
Do we have good draw?
Tinderwall would also do it.
He has 8 Spirit Guides, which you can exile from your hand to make a colored mana, depending on which one you have.
But Cedric comes up short and just passes the turn back to Eric.
Rush out the draws.
Eric's going to get 2 cards this turn, one from his Dark Confidant. Seems to be Thoughtseize.
Take 1 concert. I think that's
1 for his draw step. How good do you think Thoughtseize is this turn?
It doesn't seem that good to me. I
No.
mean, it's like Cedric either has a mana source or he doesn't. If he had it, he would have done something about it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure what Cedric drew this turn, but we know that he has 1 more Charbelcher. He drew a Land Grant, which shows that he only has 1 land in his deck.
Right.
He already got the Taiga. Land Grant is useless. Eric here can afford to take 2 damage, pay 2 life.
Because his life total is either dead or not, right?
Yeah.
It's interesting being in this position from Ifro's side because, he just has free reign to just do it anything and everything that he can. All right,
Looks like Cedric drew Tinderwall.
Tinderwall.
Which you can sacrifice to add 2 red mana to your mana pool. He'll do that.
And he's going to activate the Charbelcher, and we're going to see a bunch of revealing, but this is basically going to be the game. He just flips over his entire deck at once, and basically Ifro's losing here.
Yeah.
But Ifro's going to get a chance to look through the entire deck to see if there's anything that he needs to sideboard against.
The way Charbelcher works is if you reveal your entire deck before you reveal a land, it deals damage equal to the number of cards in your library.
And like you mentioned, we saw that Cedric's actually only playing 1 land, so he would just reveal the entirety of the rest of his deck, which would have been far more than enough to kill Eric. So we see Cedric Phillips is going to take game 1 against Ifro's really sweet-looking bug deck.
What does Ifro have in his sideboard to combat the Charbelcher, the explosive combo
let's take
deck?
a look. I mean, the first thing that I would look for are Force of Wills.
Doesn't have them. I see a Mind Break Trap, a Blue Elemental Blast, and a couple of Spell Pierces.
So are those forces in the main, or is he just completely Force of Will this year?
Don't think he has a single Force of Will.
Wow. Okay, I haven't seen this yet, where they've just completely.
I mean, for example, Reed Duke's deck from the Star City Invitational, the one he used to top 8, his Legacy deck was a bug deck. The only counter magic he really had was 1 Daze in his main deck.
I wanted to ask you something about that. I've seen that before, where people will take what's a traditional control shell to a tournament. They will not put in the normal counterspell suite, and they will sort of get a walk through the main part of the tournament because everybody's playing around all their counter magic the whole time, and they don't have it. Is that a viable thing, or is that more like a kind of a one-shot deal?
Well, the reason why some of these bug decks have moved away from Force of Will is there isn't really anything pressing in the format if it's all bug decks to Force Will. I mean, the whole idea of the bug decks is you're 1-for-1ing your opponent. You're casting Abrupt Decay and Tarmogoyfs or Dark Confidants, and you're trying to, slowly get card advantage.
them out, as we say.
Right, but Force of Will does the exact opposite of that. You're spending 2 cards to get rid of 1. None of their cards are really that powerful that you need to spend 2 cards unless you're playing against one of these combo decks.
Right.
And we see Cedric here, choosing a combo deck for this tournament. There's plenty of other combo decks out there. And if a number of other bug players, like Eric Froelich, are not playing Force Will, it's going to be really strong for those combo decks.
That's really interesting. I mean, it looks like Cedric's done his homework here. And I'll have to be honest, sometimes when I see that people are playing the Belcher deck, I sometimes just assume that they didn't have anything else or they didn't have the cards. Or it's a deck that a lot of people don't take seriously.
It's similar to Dredge in that fashion.
Right, but in a world without Force of Will, or where Force of Will is kind of on the back burner, it certainly is a real deck.
And I know Cedric has had success with this deck in the past.
Okay, so he knows it well.
Yeah, he, I believe, cashed a large cash tournament maybe 4 years ago
Okay.
with this deck. And he was praising it. He's been praising it for a while, but in the past, he's mainly been praising his Goblins deck, but he knows that this is not a time for Goblins. With all the Abrupt Decays and creature destruction spells that are running around in these bug decks, or the Esper Stoneblade decks that are also around with Terminus's main deck and Supreme Verdicts.
Right.
Goblins is no place this tournament.
Let's take a quick look at Tom Rainey versus Todd Anderson here while Cedric and Eric are shuffling up.
So Tom Rainey on the right of your screen, Todd Anderson on the left of your screen. We should get those life totals updated soon. But Todd has a Tarmogoyf in play. Looks like he is also on a bug deck. I know he was brewing with Jerry Thompson. Tom Rainey's going to crack his Polluted Delta, take one, search up either a island or a swamp. Is he also on bug? Maybe just a blue-black control deck?
Todd Anderson?
Tom Rainey.
Oh, Tom Rainey. I'm not sure.
Looks like he's on a bug deck with a little bit of a splash. Looks really...
Dreamstalker, Parasitic Strix,
Oh, he's
Cavern
playing-
Harpy. So this is an Allurin combo deck. Then.
Yeah.
That's the only deck that plays those particular.
And he's playing Allurin, so... Allurin is a combo deck that's not often seen, mainly due to the cost of one card in the deck, Imperial Recruiter.
Right.
Really makes it cost prohibitive for people to play, but when people have played it, they've had good success with it, or there's been a reasonable amount of success with it. And Allurin might be another one of these combo decks that's doing really well because people are not playing many Force Wells.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we see Gitaxian Probe by Tom Rainey, revealing Todd Anderson's hand of Tarmogoyf Ponder, Jace the Mind Sculptor, Liliana, and Verdant Catacombs.
But none of those are
Oh,
foil.
a second Jace the Mind Sculptor, too. None of them are foil.
Opening die roll, yeah, I'll draw.
So Tom gets a look and sees that there's no counter magic on Todd's side. The best Todd can do is untap and cast that Liliana, force Tom to discard. As far as disruption goes.
Yeah, Tom draws a Ponder. I see he's also got a Cabal Ritual, or Cabal Therapy, I mean, in his hand.
Ooh, that Cabal Therapy can take out both those Jaces.
It's pretty nice to play after you've played a Gitaxian Probe.
I'm not sure if I were Tom, whether or not I want to get rid of Jace. Yeah, he takes Tarmogoyf here.
Yeah.
Jace is, a couple turns from being played.
At least, I mean, he doesn't even have any blue sources currently. So.
Sorcery lands.
So Tom passes to Todd, and Todd draws, I believe that was a Shardless Agent.
Verdant Catacombs? Oh, he had that in his hand already? Okay.
Yeah, Shardless Agent.
Okay.
This was another innovation that Jerry T brought to the Invitational Tournament. Him and Todd both played this bug deck with Shardless Agent.
Yeah.
Because that's another way to get card advantage.
To get card advantage, and there's also Baleful Strix around as well, and these are sort of just straight 2-for-1 type cards. You resolve them, you get value. Even the Shardless Agent, you don't even have to actually resolve it to get the Cascade effect either.
And all the stuff that you're cascading into is really powerful. They have Ancestral Visions in their deck for just maximum value.
Right.
Cards like Abrupt Decay are fine,
And there
Tarmogoyf is great.
Shardless Agent is now going. That's going to hit a Tarmogoyf right off the bat.
Check for 3.
Tarmogoyf here is going to get in for
3, I believe.
3 or 4. I can't see if Tom has used an instant. It looks like Ponder, Gitaxian Probe.
Yeah, last I checked, it was 3.
Yeah, it's 3. Sorcery, creature, land. Looks like the other match is underway.
We're going to head back over to our main feature match. Eric Froelich on the left versus Cedric Phillips. And it looks like there's just a Thoughtseize here on turn 1 from Eric, which is why you see Cedric's entire hand displayed to the world.
Looks like Cedric took a mulligan this game, down to 6 cards.
But he's got Desperate Ritual, 2 Spirit Guides.
Wow, I'm surprised.
A Lotus Petal, which is what Eric took.
That Eric didn't take the Burning Wish there, because without the Burning Wish, Cedric doesn't have any way to combo out Eric. He's just sitting there with a bunch of mana.
And he has to draw either a Wish or a Charbelcher,
Yeah.
or if he boarded in any
As
Empty
opposed-
the Warrens.
As opposed to taking the Lotus Petal, where Cedric can just cast Land Grant and get another mana source,
Therapy and Probe are really throwing me off.
and try to go off that way.
And the fact you said you had a
So,
99% chance to win.
I'm trying to see if Cedric has enough mana to cast all of his cards and then Burning Wish into Empty the Warrens. Get another look at his hand because of Land Grant. So he can Land Grant for a Taiga, play Timberwall, sack Timberwall for Desperate Ritual, play both of his
Oh no, you had Abrupt Decay.
Spirit Guides, but that's only 4 mana, so you get to wish for something.
But then not have any.
Yeah, what does he have to wish for? Goblin Warstrike. That's cute. Yeah, the big spell is the one empty the warrens in the board. So maybe he's just going to land grant, cast Timberwall, and pass the turn back, netting him another mana.
Yep, that looks like that's exactly what he's going to do. Eric's going to untap with just the 1 mana source right now. He's got a second with the Marsh Flats here, and he just passes the turn back.
Blue Elemental Blast is one of the sideboard cards out of Eric's deck. That's going to be good against Cedric's Burning Wish. So that's perhaps why he took.
Yeah, because he just knew he had that, yeah.
Yeah,
as long as he could prevent Cedric from going off that turn.
Exactly.
So 5 now.
So Cedric's going to remove from game Simiate Spear Guide, cast Burning Wish. Eric has to
put it on the stack at least.
Has to try countering this here, right?
I mean, he could also save it for the Empty the Warrens, but
it only gets 1 copy.
Any other extra copies, right? So he's just got to do it. There it is.
It's got a sting for Cedric. But it looks like Cedric drew another Burning Wish.
Oh, did he?
Yeah. I think, yeah.
So does Eric have the ability to take a peek at his hand here? And
yeah, if Eric's got another Thoughtseize, that'd be devastating to Cedric.
It would be. Even a him to Turok has 2 legitimate shots, 2 out of 3 to hit it. And even if he does, it really takes away its viability anyway. So let's see what Eric has this turn. A Liliana would take at least one of the cards out of Cedric's hand, although maybe that's not the best. It is a Liliana. Okay. Now he's going to make him sack the Tinderwall. He is. So Tinderwall down.
This is like one of my best matchups.
Okay, sure.
And Eric is as carefully as he can managing Cedric's resources. It's a fine balance.
Yeah, I mean, they were so bad that
if you give Cedric one opening, that'll be it.
Outrageous.
Cedric draws. He's hiding his hand from us.
Right.
Does he have it?
I mean, I sided really badly based on that information game 1.
Cedric just passes it back to Eric. I guess not.
Real bad I draw
Liliana +1. Cedric discards Burning Wish. So what do you draw? Maybe a Charbelcher?
Could be.
Cast Dark Confidant, passes the turn back.
All right, so momentum is definitely on Eric's side here, but as we know, Cedric has the ability to just go off.
Yeah, I think Cedric drew Empty the Warrens, and he's got 2 rituals and Elder Spirit Guide.
Okay, now the Elder Spirit Guide gets exiled, right? It won't
not
cast
getting
as a
cast.
spell cast.
So he can empty the Warrens for 3 copies, which 6 goblins is not actually that much, but if you're Cedric, you have to go for it. You got no other choice. Liliana keeps ticking up. You keep discarding cards. You're just giving Eric more time.
Yeah, and it looks like he's just going it. He's going for it here. So 1, 2, 3 total. So 6 goblins.
Yep, 6/1 goblins come to play. They're represented by that 1 token.
And Cedric, he's under the pressure from Liliana as well, that he can't just sit there forever because he's going to lose a card every single turn. So he just dumps his entire hand to make the goblins, and he's in a fine position for that.
I'm sure Cedric's just praying that
Is
Bob,
one of them getting Abrupt Decayed here?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so it gets Abrupt Decayed, it goes down to 5.
Bob reveals like a Jace or some high converted mana cost card.
Take a chunk out of him. Reveals Brainstorm.
It's not what Cedric wanted to see.
Not at all. So are we going to see Liliana get minus to 0 to take out another token?
Most likely. Because Cedric doesn't have a hand, so +1ing it doesn't do anything.
Yeah, also, I just saw he just drew another one. So he can potentially take out 2 more of the 2 tokens this turn just off of Liliana's.
I think we're going to go to a game 3.
I believe so as well, because now that, the nature of these combo decks on Cedric's side is that he's completely empty, not only the Warrens, but his hand. And and Eric has a ton of momentum here with another Planeswalker. It's going to come down, and it's going to put Cedric sitting at 3 tokens, top decking with, there's just no, there's literally no card, right, that he could just draw here that he could even do anything with.
Yeah, with Liliana still in play, Eric can continue to tick it up, forcing Cedric to discard.
Yeah.
Cedric's going to try to get rid of Liliana.
Yep, Cedric says 2 to Liliana, 1 to you. And Eric declines to trade off his Dark Confidant for 1 token, so he's going to keep the train rolling with the drawing 2 cards a turn, essentially. He's not under much pressure here either, so he just needs to make sure that he finishes off the last of those. Oh, Frozen Grip.
That drops Eric down to 10 life.
Yeah, 10 life, and he needs to just find a way to start getting in to actually win. He is under somewhat of a clock here. He's going to hit the Turok because why not?
Cedric discards Pyretic Ritual.
Ritual goes away, and Eric's going to attack for 2. Just Legacy, it's a race, right?
Bobby! Yes!
So
All right.
Eric falls to 4 life, 3 from the attack, 3 from Vendilion Click.
We hear Cedric say, yes!
Now Eric's only 1 Jace away from perishing.
So Eric needs to find a way to either get rid of his own Dark Confidant or shrink down the number of goblins that Cedric has on his side of the table. He is going to Vendilion Click. I'm sure he's going to target himself here.
Okay.
Yep, target me. He's going to get rid of that Frozen Grip to the bottom. He's going to get to draw a card now. And he does a couple of lands in hand, I think.
Yeah, if Eric had drawn a Brainstorm there, he could be free and clear from dying from his Bob.
Yep. All right, he's going to Wasteland Cedric's only land. And when I say only land, I mean only land in his deck. And here we go. Cedric says, go.
Okay. Eric falls to 3.
And Eric is going to fall to 3. And Cedric is happy right now to say, all right, if your Dark Confidant kills you, it kills you.
But with Eric drawing 2 cards a turn.
He needs to find a way to kill his own Dark Confidant, but before he's dead, and it's a land this time, it's a Wasteland, so no damage there. Can he find an Abrupt Decay or a Jace the Mind Sculptor to bounce it? Deathrite Shaman can gain him some life. I don't know how many creatures are in yards. The two creatures above Cedric's on Cedric's side of the table are exiled.
Yeah, I don't think there are any creatures in either graveyard.
So no creatures yet in any yards. There was a Tinderwall, yeah.
Oh, that's right.
There was at least one Tinderwall. So if Eric doesn't die, well, then he's going to get to do this with the trigger on the stack. So Eric is going to be at 5 when the next one goes. So he will not die the next turn. All right, so Tinderwall down.
It looks like there's also a Elvish Spirit Guide.
He reveals another Deathrite Shaman.
I think this is the game. Now with Eric out of Dark Confidant range.
Well, he's down to 3 again.
Right, but he's gaining 2 life a turn.
What? How many more creatures are there? That's what I'm unclear on.
I think there's 1 Elvish Spirit Guide in Cedric's graveyard.
Okay. So Eric is free to start putting more pressure back on Cedric. He plays a Polluted Delta that's just never going to get cracked. Now Cedric has built up a bit of a hand here. I see he's got some rituals and a Lotus Petal. I don't know, however, if he has any actual action in that hand.
No, I don't see any action. He needs a Goblin Charbelcher very, very quickly, but he doesn't have any land, so he needs a Lotus Petal to get things going also.
Which he has in his hand.
Okay.
So it looks like Eric may have thwarted death from his own Dark Confidant, at least for the moment. Got a couple of Spirit Guides, I believe.
I wonder what Cedric's thinking about. He's going to cast the Lotus Petal and pass it back to Eric.
All right, so reveal for Bob, and it's a land, so again, Eric stays above.
To be fair,
there must not be then another land, because he didn't do it. He didn't activate his Shaman. I mean, another creature.
Oh, okay.
Because he would have for sure, because there are Jace the Mind Sculptors. Like he.
So that's what I was thinking about. It's a very, very likely that Eric boarded out Jace the Mind Sculptor for the cards he brought in.
Okay.
Because Jace isn't very good against Cedric's deck. I mean, there's a lot of dead cards in Eric's deck. I see he's running Umazawa's Jite and Lingering Souls that are both not great against Cedric's deck.
Yeah, they're just pretty bad. Swords to Plowshares.
Yeah.
All right, so what we have here is Eric is doing some math. He needs to make sure that he can kill Cedric in the fewest amount of turns possible, and he's going to go ahead and crack in for 5 here because he can only take 1 on the crackback, and Cedric Phillips is going to get, or Cedric's tokens are going to get blocked by those 1/2 Deathrite Shamans.
Cedric needs to win this turn because those Deathrite Shamans have fuel to start making Cedric lose 2 life.
Yeah, Cedric's going to be at 6 when he untaps here.
Yeah, so unless Cedric has it now.
So that's not, yeah.
we're going to go to a game 3.
Cedric is going to have to go for something right now. So it turns out the fewest amount of turns possible for Eric was 2, which is, yeah, that's pretty good.
I don't see that last card in Cedric's hand. If it's a Burning Wish, he's got a shot.
He's going to go Spirit Guide, so he has 2 mana in his mana pool here.
Oh, it is a Burning Wish. So what can Cedric
Oh, it
get?
is?
It is.
Ooh.
He can get Infernal Tutor.
All right, he's playing it. Burning Wish on the stack. Now, Eric's been drawing a ton of cards, but he really hasn't seen that much action. The last spell I remember that he drew was that Thoughtseize, and he couldn't afford to cast it.
Cedric's trying to go for a Pyroclasm here to wipe Eric's board, give him more time.
Interesting.
But if there's a Spell Pierce on Eric Froehlich's side, as Rashad Miller seems to be queuing us in on, that plan is going to get thwarted. Okay,
All right, we're digging.
Goblin Warstrike. Okay, so he can use that to deal Eric.
That would
3.
dome him for 3.
But Eric plays a Spell Pierce on the Goblin Warstrike, and Cedric doesn't seem to have any mana to pay for it.
Sorry. I'll play this up.
Yeah,
Goblin Warstrike, for those that haven't seen it before, is a sorcery that costs a red, and it says it deals damage equal to the number of goblins you control to target player.
and that's it.
But that was not.
They get Spell Pierced by Eric Froehlich, gets countered.
And Cedric's just making sure that he's not missing anything, but he's going to go ahead and attack with everybody. 2 of them block. Eric is going to drop down to 3 here, and he says, exile 2 spells, take 4.
Nope.
He reveals a 1, which is not a 3, and that is the game.
So we're going to game 3 here between Eric Froehlich and Cedric Phillips, the Goblin Charbelcher deck versus the black, blue, green, white.
No Force of Will deck.
The last time we saw a deck without Force of Will do well at a Legacy event was Grand Prix Providence in 2011.
And what happened there?
I forget the champion's name, but he won it with a deck.
I'm not.
Oh,
Rashad is spelling his name for us. He said he can't pronounce this.
but yes, a player won with no Force of Wills in his deck in that tournament. That was the Legacy event. And that was interesting because people just ridiculed him for weeks after that event. How you could play
what
Legacy
deck was he
without-
playing?
He was playing, I believe, a red, blue, green aggro control deck.
Like a rug deck?
Yeah. People just ridiculed him nonstop about how could you play an aggro control deck without Force Will? Nobody's ever not played Force Will if you're playing blue in Legacy since the dawn of time.
Yeah, it's Brainstorm and Force of Will are sort of
the reason to play
the
blue.
staples, yeah. All right, so we're going to get a game 3 for those of you just joining us here from Denver. This is Legacy. We have Cedric Phillips. You get a look at him there with Eric Froehlich on the right side of the screen. And they split the first 2 games.
But both of them did not play out in the way that Cedric had hoped, right? Cedric's deck ideally wants to go off turn 1. Game 1, Cedric took his time to go off. Game 2, he again took a little time, but Eric was able to cobble together enough creatures to take out Cedric.
Just enough.
I have it. Yeah, it's in my mat. All right then.
So I hear from Twitter
I'm trying not to puck
that it was
on.
a natural order Bant deck
Why?
Oh,
that
okay.
beat Hivemind in the finals of that tournament. I remember the Hivemind player, his name was Brian Elliott. Because, great minds think alike.
I've seen 2 mistakes on your end.
See what I did there?
Yeah, I do.
2.
Okay.
You are an accomplished
I'll tell you
Hivemind player. Can't take that from you.
Nah, I was doing more of a pun, but
Yeah.
so while these players get
Noted.
shuffled up for game 3 here in round 4, Grand Prix Denver.
So who do you like here? I think I still actually kind of think that Cedric's favored, given the fact that Eric has to do kind of slower turn-based ways to interact with Cedric's hand.
Yeah, I mean, the thing we haven't seen out of Cedric's deck is a really, really quick kill. Right? He almost had a turn 2 kill game 1, but that got disrupted by him to Torok. And now with Cedric on the play, he's got the chance since Eric doesn't have any Force Walls, to just kill him
Yeah.
before Eric has a chance to play a card.
6 we go.
Nope, Cedric's going to mulligan. You have to mulligan aggressively with the Charbelcher deck.
Yeah,
So-
it seems like it would be pretty straightforward if you have the pieces that you need and to identify which ones you're missing and if it's reasonable to keep it or not.
Yeah, I mean, many of the hands, just how the deck is built, are either all mana sources or too many combo pieces, not enough mana sources. Eric
I
also
assume that the
mulligans.
deck doesn't mulligan particularly well, meaning, and what I mean by that is the fewer resources that deck has makes it a lot harder for it to go.
Yeah, every card is worth so much in that deck because
Yeah.
each card does very, very little.
Where on the flip side of that coin, I think Eric's deck probably mulligans quite well. I mean, he's got Brainstorms and Planeswalkers and such to regain any advantage that he's lost, where Cedric just doesn't. I mean,
Yeah.
being down a card is just, you're down a card. You're not getting it back.
I mean, once Cedric's deck goes below 5 cards, even 5 cards, it's really tough for him to be able to go off.
Okay. Because it's just not enough resources
Yeah.
to make 7 mana or
Yeah.
whatever.
Or create a big empty. I mean, if you think about Empty the Warrens, it's Storm, so each card in your hand is another copy of Empty the Warrens. If you only have 5 cards in hand,
Right.
you can't really Storm for very much. If you're lucky, you can get, with 5 cards in hand, Empty the Warrens for 5. So 10 goblins.
Which is pretty reasonable, but that's if everything lines up for you quite
So
nicely.
I think Cedric's going to keep this hand. I see a Chrome Mox, Lotus Petal, a couple of Rituals, and a Goblin Charbelcher. So I think he's
That seems
close.
quite ideal.
Close to going off, if not there already. Is Eric going to keep? Okay, Eric does have that Hydro Blast we were talking about.
He does
The blue
indeed.
Elemental Blast.
Yep. We see Eric take a close look at his foil Wasteland and probably kind of shed a tear because it's not amazing versus Cedric, that's for sure.
So I think Eric's going to keep, and Cedric's just planning out his first turn here. Trying to decide what will yield him with the highest probability of winning on the next turn if he can't win on this turn. Counting up his mana, doing the math, making sure he's not screwing up. And it really is a numbers game
Yeah,
with these
absolutely.
Charbelcher decks. If you play Charbelcher on turn 1, you've got to think about how many mana sources are in my deck that I could draw that could make me activate it on the
Right.
following turn. And what if he's got these cards? Like, he must be thinking about that blue Elemental Blast that was cast last game.
All right, here it is. He's going to lead off with the Lotus Petal, and he's also going to play his Chrome Mox. He's going to imprint a Ritual. He's going to exile a Spirit Guide, and he's going to play a Seething Song, and that is going to give him a turn 1 Goblin Charbelcher. Ephro's thinking, but we know that he doesn't have anything to think about as he has no Force of Will. And now Ephro is 2 mana sources or a mana source and a Ritual or whatever away from activating that Charbelcher. James Rankowitz, there's your guy.
Cedric draws a Lotus Petal.
All right, he's going to play it right now. He doesn't want to get it Spell Pierce right now. Ephro does not have blue mana source up, so you can just run out that Lotus Petal, and he is now 1 mana source away.
And it's really important that Cedric goes off on his following turn because it's very, very likely that Cedric has a Corrosion Grip, as we saw last game, that could take out the
That Eric
Charbelcher.
has yeah, that's right. And right now,
What is that card?
what is it?
Elder
It is a
Spirit
Spirit Guide. He's going to exile. He's going to activate it.
He has to
Target
get lucky,
you.
though.
Well,
2,
remember,
4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 6, 14.
oh, he didn't get there.
Ooh.
He totally bricked. He didn't make it.
Man, that's
How
killer.
this happen?
So that's
Where do these cards
12
go?
damage only.
All of them?
It's 12 damage instead. He's reading his Charbelcher to see if the land actually counts. It doesn't.
I mean, that's the whole reason you only play 1 land in your deck.
That's right, to minimize the chance that that exact thing happens.
Man,
Now, those cards go to the bottom of his library, and he can build back up and do it again.
yeah, I mean, if Cedric draws Lion's Eye Diamond, Eric for sure this time is dead. But now Eric untaps with 3 mana at his disposal, will likely have Corrosion Grip to destroy the Goblin Charbelcher.
Well, he actually only has 2 mana. There's no lands in graveyards right now.
Right, but if he, I assume he's got a 3rd land. Maybe.
I mean, don't you think he would have gone for a blue mana source over the Wasteland if he had?
Sure. That does make sense.
What
He
did
can sacrifice his Wasteland targeting itself.
Ah, okay.
Remove the Wasteland to get a colored mana.
So that does give him 2 mana,
and
and he does have Abrupt Decay to blow up the Chrome Mox. Looks like he's going to just ship the turn back because he can just do more damage by paying a black to exile the ritual.
18.
And he does that, and now it's the grind time, and it's just a matter of if Cedric can build up again to 3 mana sources, especially if Eric can't find a blue mana source here. All right, he's just going to do 2 more to Cedric on his end step. Boom, Marsh Flats off the top. You see him triumphantly slam that down because that's going to give him access to blue mana now.
And 3 mana.
And 3 mana, which is going to be really important. If he does have a Crozen Grip, we'll just see that happen right here. Right now, we do see Cedric's got 3 mana.
I don't think Eric does have the Crozen Grip. I think he's got Hymn to Torok that he's going to attempt to cast here.
Okay.
But he's got to be sitting there in fear of the top of Cedric's deck.
Big winner.
I mean, and Cedric does have 3 spells in hand. He could just go. I guess he would have just done it, right? Like if he just exiles 3 Spirit Guides or whatever.
The slow roll.
Yeah. All right, so let's see if Eric can survive here. He faced down a turn 1 Goblin Charbelcher. He faced down a couple turns later, it being activated, and he hasn't had mana for the most part, and it looks like a ritual and another ritual.
Rite of Flame and Seething Song discarded for Cedric.
But Cedric has no red mana source to get that chain going, so.
Another land for Eric.
And Liliana of the Veil. Now, does this effectively lock Cedric out?
No, Cedric still has Lion's Eye Diamond.
Okay, so he can just draw Lion's Eye Diamond, play it, activate it, and go.
I think he just drew it.
What do you think he just drew?
Lion's Eye Diamond, but he's thinking about if there's a better time to cast it, maybe? I saw it was an artifact.
Oh, wow. If he just drew Lion's Eye Diamond here, then we know he's won because his library. Oh, it's a Lotus Petal.
If the other card's a Rite of Flame, then Cedric gets 3 mana, but it's not. Ships the turn back with Lotus Petal, and Cedric discards his other card. Ooh.
Oh, man.
Desperate Ritual.
Desperate Ritual, which costs 2.
Brainstorm
this is
for
a
Eric.
close one.
Drawing more cards, digging to try to find Crozian Grip before he runs out of time. Plays Polluted Delta, another Deathrite Shaman.
How many? 2?
And passes the turn back in fear
Right, so
of Cedric.
Can Cedric draw? No, he does. He just ships a turn back. Still digging. Well, not digging, but just praying for that Lion's Eye Diamond off the top. Cedric still has time.
This is what I like. It's exciting magic.
Oh,
Everybody's
this is
living
fantastic.
off the top of their deck. Last game, Eric was hoping that he didn't reveal a high casting cost card to Dark Confidant. This game, Cedric is hoping to draw some mana sources off his deck to activate that Charbelcher again.
These games have been fantastic.
But think, this game should have been over.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, most of the time, Cedric just wins.
So
Liliana is up to 6. If Eric wants, he has the ability to make Cedric sacrifice one of the 2 permanents he has.
Cedric's drawn another ritual that got discarded to Liliana. This turn he draws his card and passes the turn back. Now Eric is going to work on Cedric's life total, dealing him 4 damage a turn thanks to the Deathrite Shamans.
Yeah, Cedric's all the way down to 10 here. And it's another Charbelcher that's going to get discarded to Liliana as Eric says go.
You hear the sigh from
Cedric lets out a deep sigh.
Land grant.
So he can go. So that would give him 2 mana sources.
Yeah, but it's very likely that Eric's going to spend his turn to ultimate Liliana to make him either discard the Charbelcher.
Is that Mind Break Trap?
Yeah. Wow.
Oh, okay.
Mind Break Trap normally is used for its trap cost if 3 or more cards have been cast this turn.
To prevent Storm or something, yeah.
But here it's just a 4 mana counter spell.
All right, and he does in fact ultimate Liliana and say you get to keep one of them.
And I think that this is Cedric's last turn to draw Lion's Eye Diamond.
It looks like it. There's plenty of spells in the yard, and Cedric's at 8, so if he doesn't have it, and he didn't find it, he extends the hand, and Eric Froelich manages to get by turn 1 Goblin Charbelcher.
Wow.
That was a fantastic match. You know, I really have to say that I've heard a lot of people give Legacy a bad rap about it being non-interactive and about, just turn 1 combos and that kind of stuff. And I remember when I first started playing, I found immediately that that wasn't the case. And I think it's interesting. Hey, welcome back to the booth. I'm Marshall. That's Ben. I think it's interesting that what we just saw there, which is that really the deck that would typify that non-interactive turn 1 go-off thing the very most, Goblin Charbelcher, we saw it, and it was absolutely a fun, tense. I mean, sure, there wasn't a ton of interaction, but there was some.
I mean, second game, there was plenty of interaction.
Yeah, and it was fantastic to watch, right? I mean, that was really interesting stuff.
Yeah, I mean, normally you hear the feature match get called and somebody's playing Charbelcher, you're like, it's going to be over in 2 seconds. You know, it's not going to be fun. The person's just going to win on turn 1 both games.
Yeah, or they're going to lose and just do nothing.
Yeah, but that's not what happened in this match. We got to see
I thought that
great
was
players.
great. Yeah.
Play
I
out
thought
a
that was
match
fantastic. I mean, the way that Ifro was able to battle, and you know, I got to say, one of the cards that we're going to be talking about a lot. This is a card that has made a huge impact on multiple formats. Is Deathrite Shaman. I mean, Ifro was able to get a clock going in both of the games, chiefly because of Deathrite Shaman.
For sure, and Deathrite Shaman does work in so many other places. There's so much splash damage thanks to Deathrite Shaman in the format. One of the biggest things that I've seen happen in the local circuit or the independent circuit is that the Hivemind decks, you know, now the Deathrite Shaman decks can pay for all of the packs that Hivemind has.
Because they can make
any color mana via Deathrite Shaman, and they can accelerate up to 5 mana, which is how much it costs to pay for Pact of the Titan very, very quickly. Along with, you know, Snapcaster Mage was one of the staples, or still is a staple of the Stoneblade decks.
Yeah.
And with Deathrite Shaman, you can sit there with Deathrite Shaman. When they choose to cast Snapcaster Mage, remove the instant or sorcery that they're going to try to flash back, and get value that way. I mean, Deathrite Shaman, when it came out, it didn't seem like a card that would impact Standard very much. It would probably impact Modern, as we saw with Yuya Watanabe's second-place finish at the Pro Tour. I don't think very many people thought how big of an impact it would have in Legacy until people started playing with it.
Yeah, and now it's really become a semi-defining card. I mean, we see it in tons of decks. I think a lot of these bug decks are built sort of off the base of like Deathrite Shaman, plus the things that we've had in bug decks from before, you know, the powerhouse cards like Jace, and then like the blue cards, which normally would have been Force of Will and Brainstorm, but we still have Brainstorm. Most people, I mean, we saw Ifro. Can you imagine sitting down and you're like, okay, I'm not going to play Force of Will for this tournament. You know, like I'm